The sun over Johannesburg did not just shine. It glared off the glass skyscrapers, reflecting onto the humid, soot-stained streets of Brie. Among the hooting taxis and the smell of burnt rubber, one scent reigned supreme. The aroma of Mama Makozi's beef stew. Makozi sat behind a massive steel pot, her face perpetually shrouded in the steam of her cooking. While other vendors shouted for customers, Makozi remained silent, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. Her line was always the longest. People bypassed cheaper meals just to taste her gravy. Tindy, 24, an aspiring accountant with a bright future and a small apartment in Braamfontein, was one of those regulars. Mama, the usual, Cindy said, handing over her last 50 Rand note for the week. She knew she should save it for the bus, but her feet had walked her to Makozi's stall as if pulled by invisible wires. "You are a loyal daughter, Cindy," Makozi whispered, her voice like dry leaves rubbing together. As she scooped the stew, she dipped a small, carved horn into a hidden jar beneath her skirt. A single drop of a cloudy, pungent liquid hit the plate. Cindy ate, and for a moment, the world felt perfect. But as she licked the spoon, she didn't notice the shadow beneath her feet flicker and grow thin. The decline started slowly, then gained the speed of a runaway train. First, Cindy's boss at the firm told her the budget had been cut. She was retrenched. Then, her bank account, once healthy, seemed to leak money. R500 went missing here. A debit order failed there. By the second month, the bright-eyed girl who walked with pride was hunched over, her skin turning the color of ash. "I just need one more plate," Cindy muttered to herself, standing in her empty apartment. She had sold her fridge. Her bed was gone. All she had left were the clothes on her back and a few coins. She spent her last cent at Makozi's stall. As Cindy ate, Makozi watched her with predatory hunger. Under the table, Makozi adjusted a hidden clay pot. Inside that pot sat a collection of fortunes, symbols of the lives she had harvested. A tiny silver calculator represented Cindy's lost career. A small house key represented her home. Makozi's Muti was a dark trade. To keep the crowds coming and her own pockets full, she didn't just use herbs. She used the isithunzi, the shadow, prestige of her customers. The secret ingredient, the urine of a hijacked soul mixed with graveyard soil, sealed the theft. 3 months later, Cindy was unrecognizable. She slept on flattened cardboard boxes near the park station entrance. Her designer heels were replaced by plastic bags tied around her feet. Across the street from Makozi's booming business worked Jabu. Jabu sold simple pap and wurs. He was a man of the soil, a traditionalist who kept a small pouch of mfefo, sacred incense, in his pocket to keep his spirit clear. Jabu had been watching. He saw how Makozi's customers grew thin while she grew fat. He saw how they lost their jobs, their families, and their minds. One Tuesday, at the witching hour of 3 a.m., Jabu hid behind a pillar. He saw Makozi arrive early. She wasn't prepping vegetables. She was chanting over a bucket of yellow liquid, stirring it with a human bone, her eyes glowing a dull, sickly orange. She hissed, "Let their strength be mine." Jabu felt a chill. She wasn't just a cook. She was a witch, a dealer in shadows. The next morning, Jabu didn't open his stall. Instead, he stood in the middle of the street. "People of Johannesburg," Jabu shouted, his voice booming over the taxi horns. "You wonder why your pockets are empty? You wonder why your luck has fled like a bird from a cage?" A crowd gathered. Makozi looked up, her eyes narrowing. "Ignore the madman," she spat. "He is jealous because his food tastes like dirt. Search her stall," Jabu yelled. "Look beneath the pots. Look for the jar of the golden water, the urine of the cursed." The crowd, fueled by years of hidden frustrations and sudden poverty, surged forward. Makozi tried to block them, but she was knocked aside. They overturned the heavy steel pots. The stew spilled into the gutter, and as it hit the air, the smell changed. It no longer smelled like beef. It smelled like decay and ancient toilets. Deep in the embers of her fire, they found it. The clay pot filled with the stolen items of her customers. "Witch!" a woman screamed. "She's eaten our lives!" a man cried out. They chased Makozi through the winding alleys of the CBD. She ran with a supernatural speed, her laughter echoing off the concrete walls until she vanished into a dark basement, never to be seen again. The people returned to the stall to find the victims. Jabu went to the corner where Cindy usually sat. He found her cardboard box. He found a single, tattered photo of her graduation day. But Cindy was gone. Legend says that when your fortune is stolen by the urine Muti of a shadow thief, you eventually become a shadow yourself. Some say they see a thin, ghostly girl wandering the high-rise rooftops of Johannesburg at night, looking for a life she can no longer remember. The busy streets of Joburg moved on. New vendors arrived, but to this day, the old residents of Bree Street never eat from a pot they cannot see the bottom of, and they always check to see if their shadow is walking with them before they take the first bite. Beware the sweetness that costs you your soul. Not every hand that feeds you is wishing you a full stomach.